I started last year in April, and it was a trouble at that time because I was not aware of these different time zones, and sometimes even I missed our hemp nutrition meetings because I was 1 hour late, but somehow I figured it out, and now I'm on time. But yeah, so today I will be discussing about the nitrogen rate study. As in our discussions earlier, we saw the nitrogen rate studies at PSREU and at WFREC. So it's a kind of replication in West Florida Research and Education Center. So this study was started again in 2021 and by my predecessor, Mike Mulvaney, and I took it from there in 2022. In 2021, we didn't had a very good stand, and there were some issues. Like in other sites, it was opposite. They had a good 2021, but 2022 was not good. But for us, it was opposite. 2022 was the best year. So that's why we have replications throughout the state. And student Yugendra Upadhyaya, he was working on this trial, and he's wrapping up his PhD. So he helped me to put this presentation together. So this is our site for the 2022 at WFREC. So this was the fellow site, because as we were testing some nitrogen rates, so we don't want some residual from the previous crop. So we selected fellow land for doing the study. And this is the aerial view for our site. So we used drone last year, as Lakesh mentioned that we have some restrictions on the drone, so we are not able to get this kind of good aerial views this year. But hopefully this thing will be resolved soon, and we should be able to use our drones again. So in this picture, you can see you will see some canopies which are lower, and which are you can see which are higher. So those are different varieties, which I'll be showing you effect of different varieties as well. And there are 6 different nitrogen rates in there. So this is the combination of both nitrogen study as well as phosphorus study. So this is all together. They were planted side by side. So I think we need to mute somebody from our online participants.
这第二件呢就是什么？那有吗？哦，那呀，那就过去看呗。OK。来。
Thank you, Lakesh. So this is the nitrogen rate study. So this is the design. So it was randomized complete block design with 4 applications, and so these are the 4 blocks. So there was 10 feet difference between 2 blocks, and different colors in each block shows the different varieties, and you will see N0 to N5. So those are different nitrogen rates. So there were 6 nitrogen rates, again, the same nitrogen rates that Dr. Zach and Dr. Sharma presented earlier. So they were 0, 56, 112, 168, 224, and 260. And there were 2 cultivars. One was Abound, which is from New West Genetics, and I.H. Williams. It was SS Beta earlier, but recently its name got changed from SS Beta to I.H. Williams. It is from IND Hemp, right, Zach? So this is just a view for our trial, or some plots from the from 2022. So the big difference, what I've seen over here as compared to our trials, is the spacing of the spacing between the rows. So we are planting our hemp on 7.5 inches, but over here I was discussing with Dr. Sharma that it's on 30 inches. So that's why we have less weeds in there because they have less space to grow. And also we have more upright growth. And we do have more population as well. We need more seeds. So we are using, I think, most of the seed that what we are getting. So this is the one plot. These are not two plots. So because we are having that cone planter, so that's a tractor tire in between. But these both sections compile one plot. So one section is used for the fiber production. Another is for the seed production. Like we use areas in both of those sections. So it's a 6-row plot, like total 12-row plots, 6 rows for fiber estimation and 6 rows for the seed production. So here are the treatments. Like as I mentioned, like total rates were ranging from 0 kg nitrogen per hectare to 280 kg, and it was applied in 2 splits. So first was like flat 56 kgs were applied after 3 weeks after planting. And second application was 3 weeks after the first application, like remaining nitrogen was applied after that. And for the field preparation, like it was disc and cultivated, and we only applied like 100 kgs of muriate of potash using the hurricane spreader. And as soon as we get the seeds, so we perform, I think that was the question during our discussion earlier, that do we perform the germination test. So we placed the 50 seeds per sheet, and like there were 4 reps to test the germination. And on the top right, you can see like there is a percentage of germination for different varieties. So those are for 2022. And each year it changes. So you can see for I.H. Williams, it was 59% last year, but this year it was 92%. And it was opposite for Abound. So for Abound, which is 89 last year, it was about, I think, 80 this year. And the seeding rate was like 750K seeds per acre because we are very narrow on the spacing and we are going for the fiber. And our target planting date was first 2 weeks of May. Although like due to weather conditions, we may not stick to it. So this is like last year, we planted it in 2nd week of May. And this year, due to the weather conditions, it got delayed. So it was 1st week of June. And that's a big difference that what we are seeing, that which can be another factor that we need to figure it out, like what's the right date to plant hemp. Because in 2021, that was even late than 1st week of June. So the stand was not good, the growth was not good. While when we planted it in May last year, it was the best year that we got. And this year, it's in middle of both of those years. So we planted in 1st week of June. So I hope that bringing it more early might help, but that's again, so I was talking to Alvin. So he's working on a DSET model. So if we can play with the planting dates in the model before testing it into the field, so that might give us some idea, like what's a good planting date to accumulate good biomass. So that's another research we need to look into it. And we used cone planter to plant our hemp. You can see in the picture, so at 7.5 inches. And we did the stand count approximately 2 weeks after planting and as well as at harvest. So we got stand issues. So we discussed a lot about the fire ants during our field tour. So those are the symptoms that how fire ant causes damage. You can see in that red circles. So those are the damage by the fire ants. So they griddle around the base of the plant and they eat the xylem, stops the water transportation, which results into you can see the mounds on the base of the plants. I don't have that picture, so there's in Panhandle News, we published this one last year, and we are developing a EDIS as well for this one. So firstly, it looks like there is a water deficit symptom because your water is not being transferred to the top part. It looks like there is a need of irrigation, but eventually it will start drying later on. So those are some symptoms that we see for the fire ant. And I have during our meetings that I've listened, like that's a problem here in PSREU as well. So for the fertilizer application, we used we just broadcasted it like straight urea, mixed with the N-Volt, which is a urease inhibitor, to lower down the volatilization losses. So we used Candy to spread our fertilizer. And for the weed management, we used a pre-emergence herbicide, dual magnum as a pre-emergence herbicide, which helped us a lot with the grass weeds. And for the broadleaf weeds, we pulled it up. You can see like we hand weeded for the broadleaf weeds. And using dual magnum, like I said, pre-emergence helped us a lot, and there is no impact on the stand as well. So there was a study done by the weed scientists last year for this, like trying different herbicides. So that's where it came from. So here you can see, like we got a very good biomass last year, and we did the biomass collection, and there were we collect the NDVI using drone, but this year we are using handheld devices. So we analyzed like leaf chlorophyll content, and we send the leaf samples for total NP and K. So for the 5 samples that were partitioned into different plant parts to see the nitrogen uptake, and we measured the stem height and diameter and the above ground biomass for estimating the fiber yield. So jumping into the results. So the results are somewhat similar what earlier it was presented from other 2 sites. We can see over here, like for us, the yield plateaued around 112 kgs nitrogen per hectare. And after that, we can see like it decreased at 280 kg nitrogen per hectare, but it was not significantly different than 112 kgs nitrogen per hectare. So there were the main effect of the nitrogen rate and the different cultivars. And you can see like the IH Williams was having greater height as compared to the abound. So which is like good for the fiber production. So for the stem diameter, so we were measuring the stem diameter also, like as Dr. Zach showed the herd fiber and bast fiber. So we are interested in like how much is the diameter of the plant. And it was the same trend we can see over here, like it was plateaued. There was not significant difference for the average stem diameter after 112 kgs nitrogen per hectare. And similarly, IH Williams was having greater diameter as compared to abound. It was significantly higher. So here are the results for the leaf area index, and it was increasing with increasing nitrogen rates. And for the cultivar effect for IH Williams, it was greater as compared to abound. So this is the results from only 2022 year. So for 2023 year, we are again repeating this trial, and we will have more clear results, and we can develop the curves for this trial. And here are the results for the leaf chlorophyll content. So those are pretty consistent with like how it performs for the stem diameter, stem height. We can see over here like 112 kgs. After that there was not significant increase for the higher nitrogen rates. But for the leaf chlorophyll, like it was higher for the abound, means it was not significantly higher, but it was same as the IH Williams, while all other parameters were significantly lower as compared to IH Williams. So here are the results for the nitrogen balance index. So it's the parameter that our instrument gives us. It's a proxy of the nitrogen content again into the plant. And we can see here like it's same as like how much biomass we were producing or stem height. There was not increase in nitrogen balance index after 112 kg nitrogen per hectare, and it was greater in IH Williams as compared to abound. So here are the results for the total biomass. Again, same trend followed, like there was no increase after 112 kgs, and total biomass was also higher for IH Williams. It was a big difference between IH Williams and abound, because for abound, the plants were only like knee-high stage, while IH Williams was like approximately 9 feet high. So here are the results for the root nitrogen. So this does make sense. Like if we look at the hemp cultivar, abound was putting more nitrogen into the root biomass, while like there was less, significantly lower nitrogen into the roots in the IH Williams. While for the root total nitrogen, it was the same. It was like trend was increasing. They were putting more nitrogen as we were increasing the nitrogen rates. So if we look up into the like stem, they were like about the same total nitrogen in the stem into the like amount and IH Williams. But if we look up into the leaf, again the scenario changed. So the leaf was the leaf nitrogen content was higher in IH Williams as compared to abound, and for the nitrogen rates it was increasing. So we can summarize that performance of IH Williams was the most like higher as and for most of the parameters like the height, leaf area index, diameter, and the yield as compared to abound. And IH Williams can be considered like good for the fiber production, but we will have more clear insights into it after having a second year data. And for the nitrogen rates, except 0 and 56, there are like no significant difference for the higher rates. And looking at the 1 year data, it looks like 112 kgs nitrogen per hectare was sufficient for our regions. So we had a phosphorus rate study, and it was like same results that we have seen here at PSREU. So we were having 5 different phosphorus rates. So we used 200 kgs nitrogen per hectare. Now the question is, why were we using 200 kgs nitrogen per hectare while we see like there is 112 kgs are sufficient, but we don't want to make deficit if we are testing for phosphorus. We don't want to deficit our plant for the other nutrient, as those were just preliminary results. So we went ahead with 200 kgs nitrogen per hectare. And we selected our like best performing cultivar, like which is IH Williams for this trial. And it was again like randomized complete block with 4 applications. And here you can see the results, like there was no response for the plant height at 56 days as well as 80 days, like it was all the rates were same. And the leaf area index, there was no response to that as well. And the chlorophyll content also didn't change. So one of the reasons for that is like our soils are pretty sufficient in the phosphorus, as well as like as Dr. Sharma mentioned earlier, that hemp is pretty good at extracting that phosphorus. So there was not much response to it. And same were the results for the total biomass production, the stem biomass as well, like there was no response to the different rates of phosphorus. So coming to the 2023 trials, so we changed the site. Again, we went with the like fellow site so that we are not getting some residual effect. So we moved the site to the new location. We had some challenges, like this year, we were having some late planting because, again, we were targeting to plant it early May, but our May was like totally wet. We were receiving rainfall almost every day. So that's why it got pushed up to first week of June. Due to that, I think it's not as bad as like last year, but still it's going good. Then we had some stand issues due to seed quality as well. Like the major problem was with the abound. So abound didn't germinated good this year, while in the results it showed like 80% germination in the germination test. And also once plants were up, again we saw the fire ant damage. So we used Amdro as a fire ant bait to control the ants. They were suppressed for like some time, and they would keep on moving, and they would again come back. So we have to do the repeated applications of the Amdro for that. And there are a few other baits available in the market which are effective for fire ants, which has been tested. So here are some other insect pests which we saw in our hemp field. I don't know how much significant damage they were doing, but getting help from entomologists, we were able to identify some of them. So these are from the last year. So according to entomologists, the very right one is tobacco woodworm, and this doesn't do much damage. And the middle one looks like, again, maybe fire ant, because you can see like on the base of the stem, it's been eaten up by something. Our entomologist was not sure about the very first picture. And here are some others. So The second one was identified as a gardening armyworm, and third one is stink bugs. So again, we are not sure like how much damage they are causing, but again, we will keep an eye this year if they are like available, if they are there in this year trial as well. So and then see how if they are creating some damage and if there is a need for control of those kind of pests. So that's what I have for you guys, and I would like to thank you all. So it's been a pleasure working with the hemp nutrition team. I would like to thank FDEX for providing funding, and all the students and my lab for helping with this trial. And if you have some questions, I will be happy to answer those.